herself from the domination of the Africans in 1240, because the Africans were the military arm of Spain from 711 till 1240, because around 1000 the Almoravides under Ibn bin Tishfan enters the scene. Mostly Africans, a sprinkling of Arabs. But in the 1000s, but 1240, the Almohades enters. Now you have two competing military groups for the Mediterranean in Spain. In the 1400s, they began to argue among themselves. The Almoravides are puritanical Muslims. The Almohades are mixed with the second Arab invaders who came in from Arabia in the 1000s. They don't care too much about Islam. They're pretending Islam. That was the dumping ground, the waste matter of the Arab world. They're freebooters, marauders, and nobodies. They're coming looking for what they could get. Now, the argument is over customs of Islam. That group goes into Spain and violates all the basic rules of the faith. They not only marry Spanish women, they marry more than 4. A violation of the faith, violation of the custom. They not only marry more than 4, they let the Spanish woman remain in the Catholic Church. If she's good and bad, they don't care what she stay in the church or not. But the African not only doesn't marry more than 4, but whoever he marries, she has to not only convert to Islam, she must keep a proper Islamic diet. Failing that, he goes home to Africa to get his woman. Want no Catholic woman in his bed, want no Catholic woman in his kitchen. He's a Muslim straight away. Because when we get into a thing, we go all the way. We out pope it out, Muhammad. We either do it right or don't do it. Now, the argument now is between these factions. You got Islamic factions arguing. Now, about 1450, this argument is getting heated to the point where one half of Spain, under the Castilians, have freed themselves from the domination. The Castilians boast that they have no Moorish blood. It's a lie, but that's what they say. Because the Spaniards have been mixed with African blood even since the Carthaginian time. Because any time the Spaniards say he's pure white, I mean, don't ever laugh directly in his face. I mean, be respectful. I mean, cup your hands and turn your head to one side. They've been mixed with us so long, it's just impossible to find a single Spaniard on the face of the earth who don't have at least a few drops of us. They used to boast about it, but now in this country, you know, and if they can pass the taxi cab test, they try to pass the color test. Don't argue the point, you know. If you can pass it, pass. All right, good luck. Good luck, bud. Don't make no fuss about it. All right, now, there was something else that happened early earlier, 1415, the Portuguese, who are more independent than the Spaniards, still partly under the domination of the Moors, 1415, the Portuguese invade a part of Africa, a little enclave called Cetra. I used to say it's about the size of Central Park, but then I went to Cetra. It's off the coast of Morocco. It's not as big as Central Park. And they conquered it. And this put heart in Europe. It's been years since the Europeans been able to draw any blood in Africa. Africa had caused them so much fear. And Europeans now begin to get that little courage back again. See, almost 700 years or more, the Africans had penned them into the Mediterranean. The Mediterranean was the sea of the world, the trading sea. Since the days of the Carthaginians, they wanted that sea. Remember during the Roman time, Carthage, when Hannibal blocked their way off, and when they shouted out, Carthage must be destroyed, they just had to have the Mediterranean. They've got to have it right now. It touches on three great cultures. It was the melting pot, the cultural melting pot of the world. They wanted it back again. They wanted to get back into the Mediterranean, back into the trade of the Mediterranean. All right, 1455. We have to go slow right here because something is going to happen. 1455. Spain and Portugal now free enough now to go to the Pope and begin to talk about, we're going to take over the world next. They're so sure of themselves, they're talking about lines of demarcation. Go to the Pope, talking about how we're going to divide up things when we're in charge. In this ensuing conversation before the Pope sells the argument. You are both authorized to reduce to servitude all infidel people. This account is beautifully told in Eric Williams' Capitalism and Slavery, and told again in his work, The Caribbeans from Columbus to Castro. I don't know what you think about Eric Williams. A whole lot of people didn't think too much of him as the Prime Minister of Trinidad. And a whole lot of people don't forget that Eric Williams, while he may not have been a good Prime Minister of Trinidad, he was one of the best historians ever come out of the Caribbean islands. I knew him personally, and he was a colleague of mine, and knew him enough to fight with him and argue with him and to do. That man knew research. That man knew history. He should never have been a prime minister, because that's my personal opinion. Because I just happen to think that he was out of place as a politician. He should have been in the classroom. He could do more research faster and get more things correctly placed than any historian I know about. He wrote the history of Trinidad and Tobago in 2 months. And wasn't a single error in it. Some writers take 3 years to do a book like that. It's insight into history. And while in his last years he wanted to ban his own book, Capitalism and Slavery, I still think it was, in fact, he wanted to put you in jail for bringing it into Trinidad. I still think it's one of the great masterpieces of economic history. And, my main point here is that the Pope had literally sanctioned the mentality that would go into the making of the